That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about The Triangle of Sadness, the sixth film directed by Ruben Östlund, which won the Palme d'Or at the 2022 Cannes Film Festival. The second time Mr. Östlund has won that prestigious distinction. Neon is releasing it theatrically October 7th, 2022.
This director, have I seen?
No, but you've actually seen a remake of one of his films. 2014's Force Majeure, which I did quite like as well, was remade with Julie Louis-Dreyfus and Will Ferrell as Downhill, which I believe
were there in like the ski slope or whatever.
Mm-hmm. But I recommend his 2011 film Play. And then people tend to kind of love or hate his work. But if you liked Triangle of Sadness, I do recommend that you at least check out The Square, which won the Palme d'Or in 2017, if you haven't already done so, with Claes Bang and Elizabeth Moss.
I thought this movie was fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's a lot going on, and it's one of those narratives where it's 3 parts, and it starts with something that's very separate from the remainder of the film, and then going from part 2 to part 3, there's like a hard left. And so the basic story is there's this like luxury yacht that is like used for cruises, and we're made to believe the people on it are like really rich people. So they're on this cruise, and everything sort of culminates with the captain's dinner. And the captain is played by Woody Harrelson. Mm-hmm. And we see for the duration of the cruise, he has like locked himself in his suite, and it appears he's drunk and doesn't want to leave. So the person in charge, like below him, is just doing everything she can to get him to at least come to the captain's dinner on Thursday. And the day's important because that's the only day that he seems like he'll be able to come to the dinner, but it coordinates with like inclement weather. Mm-hmm. So it's the day of the dinner, and that morning, one of the rich passengers is doing that thing rich people do where they try to like get poor people to experience just a glimmer of what they experience. So she's like, I want everyone on the boat who's working to take a break and go for a swim. And she insists. So every member of the crew has to put on their bathing suits and go down the slide into the ocean.
And the crew has already been told that they're basically not allowed to say no.
Right.
And it goes up to the captain's assistant, who's just like, let everybody have a swim.
So the people in the kitchen are like preparing this fancy dinner for the captain's dinner, and the head chef is like, okay, well, if we do this, all this food's going to sit out and it's going to go bad. So we know where this is going. They spend the day swimming, come back, cook the food, and it's a bunch of seafood. And everyone gets sick. We have to get more into this scene, but everyone gets sick. There's vomiting. There's inclement weather, so the boat is rocking. It's a long, extended scene. The captain and this other passenger, this Russian guy, they lock themselves in the captain's suite and get on the PA and start talking about the boat is sinking, and then it transitions to other political stuff.
Socialism versus capitalism.
It's very funny, and we can talk about it more, but everything seems to calm down at a point, and we see the crew cleaning up. Night turns to day, and we think that everything will be fine, and then all of a sudden pirates show up and blow the yacht up. Mm-hmm. So
which is like a great equalizer.
So then we transition to part 3. We haven't talked about part 1 yet. We get to part 3, and we see that a handful of passengers and a couple of crew members have made it onto this deserted island. And they don't know what to do. They don't know how to survive, find food, prepare food. And then on a separate vessel, like a life-preserving boat, a single crew member shows up. Her name's Abigail. Mm-hmm. And we're told Abigail is like head of toilet cleaning. So they look down on her. But Abigail knows how to do everything. She's catching food, she's cooking it, she knows how to do everything. But before we get to that, part 1 of the movie revolves around these 2 models who are a couple, a man and a woman, mm-hmm. Carl and Yaya. Mm-hmm. And it's made to seem like the only purpose of their relationship, I don't know what that really served, except that these 2 are on the boat. They're not rich, but they're like influencers. So they get on the boat. Probably the most important part of part 1 is that it's established that Carl doesn't want to adhere to gender roles. Like, he doesn't like the fact that he's supposed to pay for his girlfriend. He wants them to be equal. So we get to part 3 on this deserted island, and Abigail has now made herself the leader of the island. And she is basically controlling Carl because he's like an attractive young man. She's having sex with him whenever she wants in exchange for food. And everyone knows it, so that's causing some contention. But the film ends with Yaya, who's jealous of Abigail using her boyfriend for sex. She's like, I'm going to go and try to like walk on the other side of the island. Abigail goes with her, and they discover this island is not deserted. There's actually like a luxury resort on the island. So of course they're saved, except that Abigail, it seems like she doesn't want to leave the island because she likes the power dynamic the way it is. So the film ends with us thinking that maybe she has killed Yaya. We see her pick up a rock, like she's going to hit her over the head, and then it goes black. And then we cut to Carl like running through the island, but we don't know why. Whether he assumed Abigail's gonna hurt his girlfriend, or maybe Abigail came back and said Yaya's hurt. The end.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's a lot going on.
Yeah, I mean, it's very much in keeping with Östlund, always kind of presenting human and social behaviors as a sort of satire. And here, this is kind of, you know, like the geometric shape in the middle of its title, which is a reference to this area on your face, the triangle of sadness. It's kind of examining kind of 3 different social groups in through the prism of, you know, exaggerated capitalism and like socialism.
The opening of the film is this like reporter interviewing a bunch of male models who are on a go-see. So it's all these shirtless models waiting in line to go talk to a casting person. And it was a little bit of a rough start because I didn't really care for that.
Well, you're supposed to be repelled by him.
Right.
But and it's also showing, I think, you know, where people kind of sit in a gray zone in certain settings, like white gay men that think that it's okay to, if they're calling out what they're doing, that also kind of excuses them in order to be able to do it.
I think all of the messaging in the movie is very heavy-handed, like very obvious. So like it's made very clear in the beginning that male models make less than female models. Then we transition to the boyfriend and girlfriend models at dinner, and Yaya, the female, assuming like she doesn't even look at the bill when it comes, and then they get into an argument because he's like, you didn't even acknowledge the bill, but then you say thank you, like you just assume I'm gonna pay. That turns into a fight, and then in the end she explains to him, listen, how I look and for what I do for work, the only way I'm going to preserve myself is to find a rich husband, someone who can take care of me. So I need to know you can do that. And obviously you can't. So we're just together right now because we make a great team as far as like social media and building a brand. So if you want to continue doing that, we can do that. And he says yes, but also I think I can make you love me. And that's when we transition to the yacht.
Mm-hmm. But that situation is completely reversed in the third part of the film.
So that's why I think it's important. But again, it's very obvious. Like now Carl in the third act on the island is very happy to be taken care of because Abigail is like an older lady. You know, she doesn't look like Yaya. She's not a model. But we see that Carl is actually much more affectionate to Abigail
in private, but that's like a survival mechanism.
But he's saying like, let's go. Like it's like he is. It's interesting because he's doing what I think Yaya would have done if she found a rich man to take care of her. It's like, even though you're kind of repugnant to me,
let's go in public, and by me holding you in public, that professes that I'm with you and legitimizes this relationship.
When they get on the boat, did you notice a lot of flies everywhere?
Yes.
What did you think that meant?
I think that's on purpose. That also kind of things, the decomposition that's always on hand that we're ignoring.
I thought it was interesting because I've been on several cruises, and it doesn't matter how much you pay, who's on the boat. They always try to do this thing where they put you at the dining room table with strangers, and I hate that.
Yes, like, would you like to dine alone tonight, or would you like to experience a new friendship? That does not happen, let me tell you.
So it's interesting to see that even on this like yacht with super rich people, they're still forced to interact with strangers.
But I think we get really interesting exposition about the characters because we land with Yaya and Carl, and that's the introduction to these Zlatko Burić, who you might know from the Nicholas Winding Refn Pusher series, as this. He's really Croatian, but he's playing this. Keep calling him crazy rich Russians with his wife and his mistress.
Yeah, they're there together.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
I feel like the film in the middle part kind of feels like if Christopher Guest did like a version of Below Deck, that Bravo reality show, because we're really focusing on like the employees of the ship and those politics, and because even within them you have like everyone who's working directly with the customers are white. And it's been very clear like they're going to get a big tip, and then everyone below deck is like they look like immigrants.
Well, Dolly De Leon plays Abigail. She's Filipina.
Right. So they all are like brown people, and I thought that was very interesting. I really related to, because I used to work in a casino with like comp casino guests, and this idea of like the customer's always right. You have to do whatever they want. So there's this really awkward scene where the rich Russian wife is in the jacuzzi, and she's talking to one of the employees, like asking her about her dreams, and it's clear this lady doesn't give a shit. She's just in a good mood.
She's drunk, yeah.
Yeah, she's just drunk, and then insisting the girl get in the jacuzzi, and then the girl's kind of saying like, I can't, and then it's that thing that happens when it's like, I'm acting like I care about you, but really I'm trying to control you, and the fact that you're resistant is making me mad. So really you don't care about them.
Right, but also the awkward position it puts the employee in, because at the end of the day she could get a life-changing tip out of this as well, you know.
And so I really related to that, and I thought that was very well done, because I felt the anxiety I used to feel being put in those positions is portrayed very well in this movie. Okay, the highlight of this film is the captain's dinner, which is like a 20-minute scene?
Half an hour, because it's also split up with another fantastic scene.
Yeah.
With Woody Harrelson and Zlatko Burić in the captain's quarters, yeah.
So what happens is everyone shows up for dinner, and immediately it's not right because there's inclement weather. So it's like everything's rolling around, glasses are breaking, but the people still show up trying to be cute to have this fancy dinner. And then as the food starts being served, as the audience, we already know that it's probably gone bad. And it's a lot of seafood. And there's actually one dish that looks like fish jelly.
Literally.
Which I thought was funny.
Literally, yeah.
And man, if for no other reason, you need to watch this movie for this sequence. It's so good because it's just everyone vomiting like uncontrollably. And the way it's done is like realistic but humorous at the same time. And it just goes from bad to worse. Like, yeah,
it gets bad so quickly, and then the actual sewage system in the ship is unable to
like
kind of
backing up. So then you see shit water like coming out of everywhere,
and then this drunk captain and this Russian are just wasted. And
then we transition to those two in the captain's suite. And they barricaded themselves in.
Telling people, Mayday, the ship's going down.
And they're on the PA, because the captain can announce to the ship from his room. So the Russian guy immediately is like, Mayday, Mayday, the ship is sinking. That took me out.
Oh, yeah.
It's so funny.
And people are slipping on fecal matter.
Trying to put on their life-preserving vest. It really is brilliant.
And then that stupid Russian woman who was kind of really the cause of all of this part of the plot happening,
right,
is...
she's locked in the bathroom.
She's got diarrhea going on and vomiting
and then because the boat's moving, she's like sliding around the bathroom floor covered in shit and
her
vomit.
Filth. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's
So also on the boat is this British couple who are kind of stuffy, and we find out that they're rich because they're arms dealers.
Oh yeah.
And specifically, they talk about how they like make hand grenades and IUDs and all this shit. So
and that's very on the nose.
Is it IUD?
Landmines.
But I don't think that's the acronym. I may have messed that up. But anyway, they make weapons. So
what's the reproductive prophylaxis?
I think that's IUD. I sound stupid now. Anyway, they make arms. When the pirates show up, one of the pirates throws a hand grenade onto the ship, and guess who's there to pick it up? The old British lady who makes grenades. And she's like, what is this? And then we see her blow up.
She goes, this looks like one of ours. Yes, so that is very on the nose, and you'll either be amused or annoyed at things like that, I think.
Okay, also on the boat is this woman who has had a stroke. So she is
German.
Incapacitated. Her mind is there, but she has like a speech issue, so she can only say one phrase, which I wrote down, but I don't know what it means. Like, Inderwolken.
I think that old couple asked, I think it means in the clouds.
It does it? Okay. I tried to Google Translate it and it didn't mean that, but whatever.
Oh, what did it say in Google
It said like in the walking, but whatever. All this lady can say is Inderwalken, but then she keeps saying it and she shouts it. I thought that was very funny.
I thought it was Wolden.
Wolden? It's a phrase. She can only say one phrase and she says it with different intensities to try to convey what's happening.
I did enjoy
That was
as
really
well.
good. Okay, so when we get to the island, at first Abigail, because she comes on a separate vessel by herself, so we see the other people just struggling, and then all of a sudden we see Abigail out in the water, just catching an octopus, and then that a really funny scene is she cooks the octopus, and then who's the actor playing like the head of the boat?
Madame Paula.
Madame Paula.
Her name is Vicki Berlin, who I believe is Danish.
Their boat has sunk, and this lady is still trying to act like she's in charge and that she needs to keep the customers happy. So she's telling Abigail, like, okay, give us the octopus meat you cooked to disseminate it. And Abigail's like, no, one for me, one for you. So she splits what she cooked in half, and then she gives one half to the lady, Miss Paula, to spread amongst the 6 other people. So they all get like one little bite. But Abigail still has a bunch of meat left. So the lady's like, oh, no, you need to give us all of it. And Abigail's like, no, I don't. I caught this and I cooked it. Y'all didn't do shit. So then Abigail switches it up so hard because she's like, let me ask you a question. Who's in charge? And then Abigail starts telling everyone, who am I? Who am I? I'm the captain now. And then she asks everyone, who am I? And if they say she's the captain, she throws them some meat. So she trains everyone very quickly that she's in charge. And then we go down that road.
But it's funny that even though this, all the world has been turned upside down for these people, how we drift towards our roles, our respective roles in either of them. Like Madame Paula is kind of middle management in both
she
worlds.
is, and then the rich people still preserve their roles because really they're used to being attended to. It's just now they're kind of being told, but they're still not doing anything.
And then the pretty people
are using that.
Are being used kind of in a similar way that their image and bodies are used, or they're allowing themselves to be used.
Except in this patriarchy, it's the woman in charge, and so she's using the man.
Matriarchy.
Well, but she's playing it like she's a man.
Sure.
So that's why I said it that way. So it's like she's doing the same thing, the same privilege that Yaya had in Act 1 as being this female model, making more money, getting more attention, not paying for things. Now we see Carl, because the person in charge is a woman and likes handsome young men, now he's doing what Yaya did to him.
In exchange, she gets pretzel sticks.
Again, very obvious, but I thought very well done. There is a trigger warning. There's a donkey that initially when they arrive on the island, the sound that it's making is scaring everyone because it's not clear what it is.
And it sounds creepy.
But then one of the gentlemen on the boat or on the island decides to go kill it. And that was a hard scene to watch. Because he's beating it over the head and it doesn't die, so he has to go back. And once he does accomplish what he set out to do, he's visibly upset. But they need it for food.
The other men have to comfort him. There's also a black character that shows up in the third act that nobody has seen on the ship, and they're convinced he's a pirate.
Oh no, yeah, that's true. But what I thought you were going to say is we learned that the island is not deserted before they get to the luxury resort because the lady with the stroke who just says the one phrase, she's hanging. They put her in a life raft and shove her in the corner somewhere, and like out of the sun. And one day she's sitting there, and this like guy walks by peddling stuff like Gucci bags and fake Rolexes. So then it's like, wait a minute. This is not a deserted island. There must be tourists here if he's peddling this shit. So that was the first time we realized that they are not stuck. They just haven't thought to look. And Abigail likes being in control, so she's not interested in getting off the island. So I thought it was a fun ride. I think it's well put together, well performed. I like that the comedy is smart and subtle.
The comedy is smart in a satirical sort of way, but I feel like Östlund, kind of like he did with the squares, kind of going at low-hanging fruit in a way that
That's why I feel like it's called, like, all the themes are very on the nose, and I know people make fun of us saying on the nose a lot.
Do they?
Yeah, but well done. What would you give it?
I wanted to mention that it was lensed by Fredrik Wenzel, who's done a few films for Jesper Ganslant, also a notable Swedish filmmaker. I do really like how it looked. Even after seeing it 2 times, I think it's at 2.5 hours. I think it does go very quickly, which is impressive.
I would probably watch it again.
And I wonder if between triangle and square, I wonder if Östlund is trying to do kind of a geometric.
So the next one will be
something with a circle.
Yeah.
No, I think it's very
oblong lust.
It's very. He's already mentioned that he's doing a new project. I find him and his body of work very interesting. So if you did like this, definitely check out his past stuff. But I think that out of 10, I gave it 3.5, and I still kind of feel that way. I think, again, as you said after we saw it, there's like this section. There's this like 30 to 45 minute section of perfection in it, and then there are other things. It's interesting throughout, but I think it's too easy to kind of be distracted by some of the other things in it, perhaps. But yeah,
I thought it was very good. I would give it 3.5 out of 5. Anything else?
No.
Hit the thanks button. Listen to our podcast. Bye.